There we go. Isolation off, automatically adjust mic volume off. Let's get that down to 50. Let's put that at 44 and see how that works. It should be good.
All right, Neil slid in.
All right, roger that. And let's go dragon. We like the dragon. Check 1, 2. Should be good there. Welcome in, boys and girls. Going to be a light crowd tonight, Super Bowl. Too many of you still like to watch that stuff. Not this kid.
God forbid people enjoy sports with their friends.
I know it. I just don't like watching it.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
What Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen? What Super Bowl? Welcome inside the Car Firearms Group studios. With me, I am Mark Walters, and I'll be filling your prescription for freedom for the next 2 hours. Hour 3 will be an encore, and I'll explain that in just a second. I've actually got a funny about that, and we'll have some fun at Justin Moon's expense on that in just a couple of moments. CZ microphone lit up for you, excuse me, here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center at the ranch. Yes, and it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing today, brother? I told you, I'll see you soon. I'll see you too soon. I told you that on Friday, didn't I?
We have that conversation every Friday.
I know, and it just happens so fast. It really, truly does.
It does.
Did you have a good, I guess call it a day-long weekend? Did you have a good weekend?
It was pretty busy, I'll say that.
Greg's not on camera today. You want to tell us why, or do you want me to?
I'll throw it out there. I was doing double duty yesterday, mechanic work and plumbing work, and somehow I had gotten something in my eye that's caused it to be inflamed and super red and a little swollen. So maybe I smacked myself in my sleep, or maybe I got some debris in there that I just haven't flushed completely out tonight, but I chose not to go on cam.
Well, you know, that'll do it. Greg didn't want to show us his face. So I'm going to keep a photograph of him off today. We'll just leave him alone. If he's not going to be live on camera, we'll leave him alone. So let me give you the lineup today. Neil McCabe. Let me tell you why. Now, we love Neil, but every year, and it's funny because people don't believe this. I've not seen a Super Bowl in 17 years, Greg.
Ouch.
What day do we do this show?
Well, yeah, obviously. And that also means you haven't spent time with your friends or family on a Sunday evening in 17 years either.
Haven't had a beer in 17 years on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, I have whatever somebody would normally do on a Sunday. I can also say fun stuff like I haven't cut the grass on a Sunday in 17 years. Well, that's not true. Well, yeah, that is kind of true.
You have people cut your grass.
I do. Yeah, they're from Guatemala, by the way, and they're very cool, and they're here legally too, by the way.
Legally, huh?
Yeah, they're here illegally. Legally, not illegally. They're here legally.
I said legally.
Yeah. They have legitimate bank accounts and everything, and they're really good guys. Really good guys. And they do a super job. But anyway, it was kind of interesting because trying to schedule, and I know Neil's listening. Neil, we're going to go to you in just a second. We'll get your comments on this because he had a funny comment about this too. He didn't even know it was funny. It was just a funny Neil response. But trying to schedule Super Bowl Sunday is harder than scheduling New Year's and Christmas when we've done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I would have. I bet after the past couple of weeks, there's been SHOT Show happened, and then there's another one that was happening last weekend as well, and so it's like
you got the Great American Show this week.
That's it. Yep.
Okay, and that show goes for 2 to 3 weeks. But trying to schedule, and let's just bring Neil. And Neil McCabe, jump on in here because you're on a studio line. How are you, brother? It's great to have you here.
Hey, fantastic. Very good to be with you, sir. Go ahead, please.
Great to have you. Yeah, this was funny because trying to schedule guests, I mean, I don't care how far out you do it on Super Bowl Sunday is near impossible to do. Now, we were able to get the entire roundtable together except for Ryan Petty. Ryan is in St. Martin at a business meeting. He landed.
Place.
Yeah, he flew into that airport where people stand at the runway and the jets come right over their heads and they stand in the jet wash and everything.
Yeah.
It's the first time he'd ever been, but he said it was really cool to do. He can't be here for obvious reasons. And don't drop that, Greg. It's okay. And
yeah, my chat tablet just fell.
And then, Justin jumped in. He was good. Brad was good. And then right about an hour before showtime, Justin goes, "Oh, I forgot. I can't be there. I'm on a flight to Taiwan." And that's when I said that to Neil. Neil goes, "Yeah, that's something you forget."
Yeah.
Neil, now, he did tell me a couple weeks ago that he was going to be going to Taiwan, but I saw that text. I'm like, "Oh, how do you forget you're on a flight to Taiwan?" So I had a good laugh.
Well, how do you forget that? How do you forget that your guest told you that he was going to Taiwan?
I mean,
bingo.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thanks for that one, Neil. That just registered. that just registered. Okay, that was a hit to me. Hold on. Right. Right in the face. But that's okay because I didn't remember that.
It's on.
So, yeah, it is on. So I shot something over to John Lott earlier today, and I said, "John, I've got an extra hour if you want it." And John reaches back out to me and says, "Hey, Canada, he's in Australia." So John Lott's in Australia. Ryan Petty's in St. Martin. So, yeah, and Justin is now on his way to Taiwan. And I reached out to Sheriff Kurt Hoffman. Everybody's hosting guests and people at home for a Super Bowl party, and I'm not going to take their time. Jared couldn't come on. Cam's doing the same thing.
Take a hint.
I reached out to a couple politicians. Everybody is at Super Bowl parties, so that's okay. I don't mind. I just don't watch the Super Bowl, Neil. Do you watch the Super Bowl? I think the Eagles and Giants are playing or something like that. I don't know. I'm just kidding. They can't because they're in the same league, right?
Well,
same conference, I should say.
Division, yes. Go ahead, Neil.
As the father of 4 Patriots fans, I may have to keep a side eye onto what's going on.
Well, we'll have some fun with you, Neil, because we've got you for 2 solid hours because, like me, Neil doesn't have a life either outside of work. So he said, "Oh, I'll do it. I'd love to do it for 2 hours." So the third hour, we're going to run an encore.
Any excuse to hang out with you guys, okay?
It works.
It's like there are weeks that I miss, right? And there are months that I miss, and it tears me up. And
sometimes there's years that you
myself.
miss.
Yeah. So
we don't want that to happen.
Somebody says, "Hey, you want to come on for 2 hours?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Well, 2 hours is going to whip right by. It always does. Super Bowl Sunday, man, you should see the viewers on X right now. 26. So, Neil, you got a big crowd out there, bro. I'm just saying. It is really weird to me how, I don't know, maybe it's not weird, but Super Bowl Sunday is one of the most, I mean, it could be Christmas Eve and you'd have 500 viewers, at least. It's very strange. So, Neil, this is obviously going to be a slow hour because it's only 12 minutes after the hour, Neil. We're trying to kill some time. Did you take a look at the text messages that I sent you today for topics?
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, wow, he's doing show prep? What happened?
Well, I was playing guitar and doing show prep all day. And I just had some fun. I was just playing for Greg. And guys, I would love to crank this thing out here. I got the Marshall cranked up right now. But if I were to play that right now, we'd get kicked off for copyright infringement. But, you know, I just learned how to play a Ramones tune. And I don't know what made it pop in my head. I guess I was driving down the road the other day and I heard it. When was the last time you heard I Want to Be Sedated? Remember that song from the Ramones?
I saw the Ramones at UMass.
I want to be sedated, right? Just get me in a wheelchair, take me to the show, right? I want to be sedated. Well, it's got a really catchy, hardcore power chord structure to it. So I figured out how to play it last night, and I was just in here playing a little bit for Greg. And I would love to play for you guys on camera, but copyright.
All the private concerts that I get, I just feel so special.
Well, he does. He said it's better than I could do it, considering
Very
that.
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Anyway, I got the Les Paul or the Gibson behind me, the SG, and I can't wait to play after the show. And I've been giving my neighbors a break for a while, Neil. Been playing through a couple modelers and letting them go, but not anymore. No, the Marshall stacks were just cranking today. But you did look at the text. When we come back after the break, and we've still got a minute, but there's an audio clip I want to play that Neil, I would like to say the sheriff in San Diego. You saw that, right?
Yeah, and I actually tweeted it out just a minute ago that is do you want to talk about it and then I'll weigh in, or are we on
Yeah,
break?
let's talk about it now without going into too much detail, because I want to play the audio of the sheriff. Let's describe what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen.
Why don't I play it going into break and then y'all talk about it afterwards?
We don't have enough time for it.
It's a minute.
No, we'll cut it too close. I don't want to worry about cutting it off, and I'm afraid we might have to cut it off. And I'll screen share it for viewers. But we've got the sheriff in San Diego is explaining to California residents, or at least in his county, how to properly travel with a firearm in your vehicle. And when I saw this, now I knew the rules out there, but I guess, Neil, I had just never seen it with my own eyes. And when the sheriff was gleefully going through his entertaining video on explaining to people how to travel with a firearm legally in California, the first thought that went through my head was, this guy has been so Californicated for so long, he doesn't even know what being in free America is, Neil. What was your first thought when you saw it? When we come back, we'll play it for listeners.
30.
You have 30 seconds.
No, it's absolutely completely absurd. There's a whole cult in law enforcement that basically feels that the world is a safer place if the only people who have guns are criminals and us.
That's what the Democrats apparently think. Newsom released hundreds of criminals back onto the streets, some of them with murder convictions. And you've got to wonder what is going through these people's minds. They have lost their marbles. When we come back, I'm going to play the audio for you. If you're watching, you'll be able to see the clip as well. So if you want to jump in, if you're listening and you want to watch, just head over to facebook.com, X, YouTube. Just search for Armed American Radio at X at AAR Mark, and you can watch it with us. Just don't do it while you're driving. We'll be back with Neil and play this amazing clip for you. Don't go away. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. NRA presents the show to you every single day. Make sure to join them, nra.org/AAR. Take advantage of the discounts over there. We need your help. We're going to be talking a lot about Virginia, which is what the model of what they want for you nationwide. And a lot of reports coming out of Virginia now because those bills are now moving and they will be going to the governor's desk. Spanberger, the Wicked Witch of the East. We'll explain that coming up in just a moment. Before I go back to Neil, welcome back to the Car Firearms Group Studios. Guys, this just popped an hour before the show, and I want to get you in on this as soon as possible. The winner will be announced, I believe, right around the first week of April, maybe the midweek of April, mid-month. But I'm going to send you right to a site. As you know, many of you know, I'm a member of the board of directors, longstanding member of the board of directors of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, lovingly known as the CCR-KBA. And we have amazing news for you. We are thrilled to invite you to enter the Armed American Radio Super Giveaway, where you could win an incredible Ruger Precision Rifle bolt action in 6.5 Creedmoor. At CCR-KBA, folks, we are passionate about supporting your Second Amendment rights and giving back to our dedicated community of responsible gun owners. This giveaway is our way of saying thank you for your continued support. Here's how you do it. We have made it super easy for you, and you can see a photograph of the rifle. Its value is between $2,000 and $2,500. I will have more information. As I said, this just happened an hour ago, and the site is up and live. It is ccrkba.org/AAR. You can donate to us, and we've got 4 little boxes there for you to hit, super easy. And the first one I thought was kind of cool, $17.76. Can you donate $17.76? Nice little play there, right? Or 20 or 50 or 100 or any other amount you choose. And here's the kicker. If you don't want to donate, you don't have to. You can still enter. Scroll down to the bottom, and you can see enter without donating. But we would hope that you would, so that you can help us as we continue to work with states' rights organizations, your states' rights organizations, no matter where you live in the country. We work very closely with those organizations to keep what happened in Virginia from happening to you whenever possible. And it is, if you want to win this, it is at ccrkba.org/AAR. Donate if you can, but it is not necessary if you want to win. It is a Ruger Precision bolt action 6.5 Creedmoor, and we will be giving that away to you in April. And when that one's done, guess what? We're going to do another and another and another. We got some really cool stuff happening for you now. ccrkba.org/AAR. Go check it out, throw a donation, get your name in the hat, and I hope to be reading your name when the Citizens Committee pulls that winner name about the first week or second week of April. All right? Good luck. Neil McCabe, welcome back. Greg, can you play the audio clip of the good sheriff, if you will, in San Diego County, California, ladies and gentlemen? I'll throw this up on stage so you can watch it while we're doing it as well. Go ahead, Greg.
This morning we're going to talk about how to secure your gun in your vehicle. The goal is to get it. The most rearward part of your vehicle, where you can secure it to something that's stable.
You have to carry the gun in your vehicle that's unloaded. So make sure there's nothing in the chamber. There's nothing in the magazine. This is a semi-automatic. Feeds from a magazine. And it's also secured with a gun lock. So now I'm going to close the box. Secure the latches. Now I'm going to secure the gun box. Something that's very stable in the car. You can either run it through these holes, or you can run it through the handle.
Thanks for that advice.
Absolutely pathetic.
Yeah. Oh, listen, gets better.
It's secured. It's secured a little bit. It'll move a little bit, but nobody can just grab it and run away. You also need to cover it. So that nobody can see that there is a gun box or safe in the vehicle. This morning we're going to talk about how to secure your gun legally.
So, Neil McCabe, jump back in here. Of course, that's making the rounds all over the internet right now, and the hate coming in on Twitter underneath that is just, well, to be expected. I mean, as I said before, Neil, this guy has been so Californicated for so many years, he doesn't even know what free America is, bro. Would you talk to me, please?
Well, San Diego used to be
conservative.
Very, very conservative. I don't know if they have a Republican mayor now, but they used to be they're pretty much the last large American city to have a Republican mayor. And, Southern California culturally has always been more conservative than Northern California, and I'm talking about even before California was a state. It was just the way it goes that there were business interests and other, basically, the gold mining and the shipping and everything was always in the north, and Southern California was always where the farmers were, right? And so it was always a different culture, and now San Diego is run by a guy who's basically, you have to tell the carjacker, could you give me a moment? I have to get out and run around to the back, pop the hatch, and unlock my weapons and find that magazine that's in a different compartment. Right?
Yeah, it's more like, can you give me 7 or 8 minutes? I've got to get out of the car or crawl into the back. I've got to lift up the blanket that the state requires me to put over it so I hide it from you. I've got to get in the lock to unlock it from the car.
And I know you're busy, but I'm busy too.
Right. And then I got to take that lock off. Then I have to open it. Then I get my gun out, which has a trigger lock on it. And then I've got to find that magazine. Let's just hold off on this carjacking attempt right now. I need a few minutes. Guys, this is the most Now, I knew this was California law, but I had never really seen it in action. And the sheriff is out there just proud as a peacock telling people what to do to follow the law. And here's my question, and I did put this in my Twitter response. I'm assuming you carry your gun that way too, Sheriff? Knowing damn good and well he does not, because they are exempt from all the laws they hammer us with, Neil, aren't they?
Even when they're off duty.
Yeah, they don't have to be on duty. Even when they're retired.
Off-duty police officers, right? They're always walking in heavy.
Yeah, even when they're retired, they don't have to go through this nonsense. They exempt themselves. I wonder if Gavin Newsom's team, when the governor's motorcade is moving about a city, are all of their guns locked up like this? Of course, that's a rhetorical, facetious question, but because we know the answer. And the answer is no. Go ahead, Neil.
As bad as it is, the Republican Party gets something like 45% of the vote in California. It's just that all of the districts and everything is so completely jerry-rigged or gerrymandered that the Democrats have had absolutely control of this state for 40 years, and it started with the illegals, right? So just to tie it in, and it's not like the illegals are participating in politics or anything like that, but they're around, and they're sort of making it. They're being made citizens, right? And they're being corralled in, and they're being bussed in, and of course there's all sorts of ballot issues in California nobody seems to care about. That it doesn't matter what the election, at midnight on election day, right? You have a vote in, and then California keeps the elections on for next 2 weeks, and then trickle by trickle the ballots come in, and the Republicans always lose. And Ulysses S. Grant said, the only way to get rid of a bad law is to enforce it.
Well, that's let's go to the break on that. I like that.
Yeah.
California, I can't help but think about Atlanta. Atlantafornia. Talking about, well, let's just cut counting off at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock.
20.
And we'll start again tomorrow when we can get our, together. When we come back, we're going to tie this together, guys. We're going to take it to another California law because Neil tipped his hat. The Democrats have controlled the state for 40 years. We'll go to California again and then Virginia. We'll be right back. This segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by Blackout Coffee. Visit them at blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. Grab that discount and free shipping. Welcome back to the show. All right, Greg, I have to ask you how many cups, because this is an interesting one today. How many cups of Blackout Coffee do you think I had this morning? Think hard on that one. Telling you I got a really good night's sleep last night, but I was up at 4.
I'm going to go with one being the whole pot of coffee.
We made a pot, and I had 3 cups. My wife and kids left for church and made a big sheep. You know, women today drive around, Neil probably knows, with those big giant jugs for water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my wife put an entire pot of coffee in that thing and then made another pot for me and then left for church.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of coffee. I mean, she can knock out some coffee. And in fact, guys, the Blackout is so good. I've been telling you it's strong. It's strong flavor. And it is really good. I use 3 scoops in a cup, and I only put 10 ounces and make a 10-ounce cup, and it gives a really, really good, strong flavor. And it's blackoutcoffee.com. If you're watching, there is a QR code. You can go ahead and hit that QR code. I upped my subscription to 2 bags and cut it to a month instead of 6 weeks because we're going through that much of it, Greg. And I didn't think I would drink that much coffee, but I guess I just do. So
yeah, you never know.
Blackoutcoffee.com/AAR, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got up on the screen for you the Citizens Committee giveaway so you can see the rifle up there, okay? It's a Ruger Precision 2A giveaway. Enter now. All right, you can see there. You got it. I got it up there for you, so you can see it. $17.76. You can donate, which is kind of cool. $20, $50, $100. Other, you can put 5. You can put 2. You can put whatever you want in there. Doesn't matter. And you don't have to at all if you don't want to. You can make it a recurring monthly gift if you choose to, which is what I do. But you scroll down to the bottom, and you can access right there on the. You can see, think you can see it on the screen there. Enter without donating. You can do that if you so choose. All right. We would hope that you would donate at least $17.76 to the Citizens Committee for the right to keep and bear arms. One of you, Armed American Radio listeners, is going to win this in April. So take advantage of this. This is pretty cool stuff, and help some brothers out that are fighting for your rights. And what rights are we talking about? Let's go back to the great Neil McCabe. Neil, welcome back in, my brother. Let's go back to California.
Very good to be here, sir.
Let's go to California because we're going to kind of go full circle here. It just works. California Dems push training course requirement for would-be gun buyers. California Dems. Now, Neil, just when you think California can't get any worse, they do. They're now pushing legislation to require passage of a state-approved training course, including live fire shooting, to secure the certificate necessary to buy a gun in the state so that you can go through all of those motions to keep it locked in your car so it's utterly worthless for you if you ever need it. And right now, California law mandates that all gun buyers possess a firearm safety certificate, which can be acquired by passing a test. The new legislation, guys, is SB 948, augments the means of acquiring such a certificate by requiring passage of an 8-hour state-approved training course. Neil, when does this stop?
Yeah, it stops when all the guns are taken away. And basically, and by taken away, I mean taken away by sheriffs and mandatory buybacks or hidden in the floorboards like in other countries.
I'm going to make a bold statement. You're right, which will never happen in America, which means the Dems will never stop. I'll quote Ryan Petty. The Dems, the left, will never stop, ladies and gentlemen. It's that simple. Neil, this goes on and on and on and on. And when you think they can't, what else can they concoct? They concoct this. So let's think about this, Neil. You already have to have a permit to acquire a firearm, to exercise a constitutional right. What other constitutional right do you have to acquire a permit for before you exercise that right? Now, you boneheads liberals out there that are listening go, well, I got to get a permit for, to set up a protest or something like that. No, you don't. You just go out and protest if you want to. But the reason they have those permits is they do that for crowd control, but you have every right to get out there and do what you want to do. So, Neil, there's no comparison whatsoever. But then now they want to augment that, as AWR tells us. Well, now we want to require a safety training certificate, which will require live fire to get the permit we already have to buy the gun. Is there something else they could do to that? Yeah, I bet there is. It just never stops.
Yeah, well, No, it never stops. And, you have to remember that there was a guy, 10, 15 years ago who went to court and he was denied a gun permit because he was blind. And he said, nothing in the Constitution says I have to have sight. And then, frankly, I can hear the guy coming at me. And I can kind of see, he's not full. I guess he could see shapes or something, so he wasn't 1,000% blind. But if the Constitution allows a blind man to have a gun, I don't even know what all this hoo-ha-ha is. And, and it goes back to background checks. Background checks were invented by people who said, oh, yeah, we'll just give them the background checks. Problem solved. First of all, with a background check, there's nothing to stop the people running the background checks from just shutting it down for a few days, right? Mm-hmm. Or a week or whatever. But also, it was as if we'll just give them this and they'll be happy because they're saying they're concerned about bad people getting guns who are dangerous or whatever, it's like, but what they miss is that the left does not care. They're just saying it. It's all a lie. It's like the same people who push to legalize marijuana, that's the same crowd that wants to outlaw tobacco. What's the difference? The difference is that the people who are growing tobacco were in southern conservative states, and it was fueling southern conservative politics, and it was southern conservative culture, which had to be destroyed. And I don't know, I'm not a doctor of this stuff, but I imagine smoking marijuana and smoking tobacco, it's got to be just as dangerous. Like, I don't know. And maybe one could argue marijuana is more dangerous or what, it's like, rather than get into that, nobody cares. None of these leftists care about marijuana. And just the same thing with guns. Remember back in the day, they paid a bunch of ministers. Mm-hmm. It was like a rent a minister program. And these ministers went around saying, you shouldn't allow hunting on Sunday because it's the Lord's day. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are like, oh, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Yeah,
old blue laws.
Lord.
You're from New England. You remember the old blue laws.
But the reason why they did it because if I'm going hunting on Saturday and Sunday, and I can't hunt on Sunday, well, there's no point going out on the weekend for one day, right? And it was to attack a culture. It was to attack an opposition tribe. And that's what the left is doing all the time.
Yeah, it's fascinating, guys. The old blue laws, you remember? I lived in Connecticut for about a year and a half of my life. And you'll remember, you were up in Massachusetts likely at that same time. El Grasso was the governor. Remember that? Remember El Grasso in Connecticut when you were living up in Massachusetts? It's going back a long time. But they had the old blue laws where you could not buy underwear and socks on Sundays. I never could figure that out, Neil. So if you can help me with that, being from Boston and having lost your accent and everything, that would be.
Can't buy alcohol in Texas on Sunday.
Still can't
buy alcohol. The reason why they closed the stores.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
The reason why they closed the stores and other businesses on Sunday was to force businesses to give their workers a day off, because low-wage, low-power workers wouldn't have the authority or the juice to get the day off.
30.
And so basically, the government just said, all right, we're going to force you to have the day off on Sunday. And then people said, oh, blue laws are stupid. And so now all these, waitresses and cashiers and all these low-wage people are back working at Walmart and everything else on Sunday. And so,
still have
you could argue whether it was a good or bad idea, but the purpose of it was to give working poor people a forced day off.
Yeah, but it got specific with underwear and socks. They were roped off. I can remember. Greg, still have them in Texas. Can't buy alcohol on Sundays in Texas.
That's correct.
It's crazy.
Hey, a lot of stores would be open till noon. Like a convenience store might be open till noon.
All right, we're coming back with Neil. We've got one more segment to go in this hour, and we are going to tie this together with you, with yet. Well, the sheriff and stolen guns and everything else and background checks, it'll all fit like a puzzle right after this. Don't go away. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Yeah, guys, welcome back. And if you're watching on your screens, you saw me reach into my wallet. I have my Attorneys on Retainer card in my wallet every single day. It's usually sitting here. I usually take it out before the show, but neglected to do so. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. And guess what happens when you do that? Well, you get to join Attorneys on Retainer and have attorneys and this card in your back pocket. If, God forbid, you ever have to use your firearm, you make one phone call, because you're not entitled to an attorney during investigation, and I promise you there's going to be an investigation. Turn it over to your attorneys and go home. It's that simple. Let them handle it. And if, God forbid, you are charged with a crime, you will have up to 4 lawyers at your table during a trial. 4. Consider that a dream team. It's $37, no-brainer bucks a month. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. And just to give you the lowdown, as everything gets put together here, I just dropped my card. As everything gets put together here, I will be out there on the 18th in Arizona, and I'll be moderating a panel of all the content creators. You guys like to watch Heavy Duty Country and Jared Yanis and the rest. They're all going to be there. Ryan Petty, I'll be picking him up at the airport. Alan Gottlieb will be there. AWR Hawkins will be there. I believe Kwong Win is going to be there. So there's going to be a lot of people there in Arizona, but you have to be a member. It's at the Mesa Convention Center, the 20th and the 21st. So if you're a member and you can swing it, come on out. Come out and shake our paws and hang out with us for a couple days. These guys do it right. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. The website's beautiful. It's an absolute no-brainer. And I still have up on the screen that 6.5 Creedmoor, the Ruger Precision Rifle. It's real simple. Just visit ccrkba.org to enter to win. ccrkba.org/AAR. You can donate $17.76 is a box, 20, 50, 100, but you can pick any number you want. You don't even have to. We would appreciate it if you would, but you can scroll down to the bottom and you can enter to win the 6.5 Creedmoor, the Ruger Precision, even if you don't donate, but we would hope that you would. So take advantage of this. Really cool stuff. We're going to be doing these giveaways from now on through the rest of the year for you. This one, a winner from Armed American Radio, will be named in April. So jump all over this. Very cool stuff. Neil McCabe, welcome back in, my brother. Always fun to have you.
Very good to be with you, sir.
Always fun to have you here. So let's, we were talking about the sheriff and, the the locking your gun in your car, and he had to go through all the steps necessary, which is patently absurd. And I want to tie it together with this, because there's a piece up at bearingarms.com. 8 Pittsburgh area teens, 79 stolen guns, and 1,400 criminal charges. Well, gee. Neil, real quick, before we get started, do criminals get background checks to buy guns in gun shops like you do and I do?
Yeah, nobody goes into a gun shop and lists occupation gangbanger, right? Or terrorist,
OG.
Right? They say, also known as the Jackal. No, that doesn't happen.
The cartel kid, okay? Authorities have arrested 8 teenagers they say stole dozens of guns in smash-and-grab robberies in Pittsburgh last year. Weapons later linked to multiple shootings, including the death of a 7-year-old boy. The suspects, 7 of them juveniles, ladies and gentlemen, used stolen cars to travel between break-ins at gun shops in Duquesne, Bethel Park, and West Mifflin, Allegheny County, police said. They investigated the group for more than a year with the state AG's office and the FBI and the ATF before filing more than 1,400 criminal counts this week. Police said the crime spree started, Neil, on January 13th, 2025, when the teens struck 3 stores. They stole 56 guns from Allegheny Arms and Gun Works in Bethel Park. They also attempted to burglarize 2 other federally licensed gun dealers, Greater Pittsburgh Quick Cash in Duquesne and Legion Arms in West Mifflin. 6 days later, they stole 23 more guns. It goes on and on and on, Neil. So when you look at all the Californication laws, go ahead.
No, I actually wrote about it. Somebody gave me some surveillance footage. There's a I don't want to call it a chain, but basically it's a company that owns 3 gun stores in Colorado, and all 3 stores were hit. And these guys just smashed the car into the wall.
Of course,
right? Like, there's no picking a lock, right? And they just come in and just grab it. And what you were saying about the juveniles, this is something, when I worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office, what we're seeing more and more of in D.C., and I'm sure it's true around the country, is that these gangs are deliberately using people, juvies, who can't be charged. Mm-hmm. And even if you hold the guy for whatever he did, it's very rare in a lot of jurisdictions, it's very rare to charge, a 13-year-old as an adult. And so these guys, they turn 18 and then loose on the street. So until they're 18 years old, they're getting, whatever pretend school and reformation that they send these kids to. And then basically while they're in juvie school, they're just networking for their career as adult criminals. And so these guys are allowed to run hog wild, really just do whatever they want. Meanwhile, you sent me the article about the new ATF director. He's like saying, hey, let's create less burdens for legal gun owners.
Wow.
And it's like, that's a change, right?
Yeah, that's
Because
not a
the
Biden
legal
era,
gun
is it?
owners,
Yeah.
the legal gun owner just gets jammed every single time.
Yeah, and guys, I don't have the audio to play for you, but there was an interview. In the next hour, we're going to go to Virginia, and I'm also going to, and Neil, I'll send you this information during the break. I didn't get this to you earlier, so pox on me for doing that. But I've got a piece, and it was interesting how it came. Ryan Petty sent me a piece from The Street publication yesterday about depressed gun sales. At the exact same time I was getting ready to copy that and forward it to Alan Gottlieb, he sent me the exact same story from a different source by text message. So I'd like to say great minds think alike, but I think it was just a fluke, but it was the weird way the universe was working. And when we come back from the break after this hour, at 6 minutes after, we're going to go in that direction with sales, etc. And part of the new laws we're going to cover in Virginia, there's a piece, and as I said, I don't have the audio, and I'm not going to be able to run it, but I'll quote from him. The individual that owns a gun store describes exactly what Neil just said and how these laws will stop absolutely nothing. So we have a lot more to talk about. But yeah, Neil, you know, when you talk about these guys breaking into gun shops, they back right in. My local gun shop was broken into 4 times in less than 12 months. 3 times gangbangers, 1 time a professional mob hit. Think the movie Heat. Those guys were never caught. Those guys were literally out on the street dressed as AT&T people, as electrical workers, shutting things down a week in advance. They had armed guards, sentries on both sides. If the cops had shown up, they were going to open up on them. But these guys had free reign. They shut down cameras. They shut down everything in a block area around, including a neighborhood, knocked out the electricity, had free reign in that shop for as long as they wanted. It was really something to see. Guys, the moral of the story is criminals, by and large, do not walk into a gun shop and try to buy a gun and skirt the background check. It only impacts you, but you're smart enough to know it. Too many Democrats out there aren't. You know, the stupid Karens with the orange shirts and the big giant librarian glasses with their stupid signs that say, disarm hate. Yeah, those idiots. There's a ton of them out there. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues on a what bowl Sunday? I don't know. We're not watching football here. We don't care about any of that stuff. 17 straight years of not watching the Super Bowl, and damn proud of it, by the way. I'd much rather be sitting here talking about this with you today than watching a bunch of grown men chase a ball.
20.
Not my bag anymore, guys. I'm going to crank my guitar during the break. When we come back, we've got Neil McCabe for 1 more hour here on Armed American Radio's Monster Cast from the Car Firearms Group studios. Make sure to visit armedamericanradio.com for all of our great sponsors. Pick up some cool stuff. We'll see you at 6 minutes after on the flip side.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, boys and girls, we'll be back at 6 minutes after the hour. We're hour 2 with reporter Neil McCabe from Real America's Voice. And then the third hour will be an encore because, well, everybody else is watching the football game, and that's cool. We give them that time off. And if you're watching it during the breaks, hope you're enjoying the show. If you got money on it, I hope you win. I'm just kind of funning with you on the football games. But I just gave up on the NFL years ago, guys. Couldn't care less about the National Football League anymore. Really just don't give a crap. Anyway, I'll see you at 6 minutes after on the flip side. And, guys, I'm going to put this CCRKBA piece back up here. Please go visit this site, ccrkba.org. I want you to be the one whose name we call out when the CCRKBA in Bellevue, Washington picks the winner of this. And it's a great giveaway. It's valued at about $2,200 to $2,500. You can visit Ruger and take a look at the rifle. I'll have more information on it tomorrow. As I said, we just got this thing put up literally minutes before the show went live today on several hundred radio stations around the nation. So for more information, you can get right to this site that you see on the screen that we're sharing with you, ccrkba.org/AAR. You do not have to donate. And I understand if you don't want to, that's fine. You can still win the rifle. Does not hurt your chances whatsoever by law. But I would hope that you would. And the first donation up there at $17.76, if you can do that, that would be huge. Or anything else, if you can make it a recurring donation, that would be great, as the CCRKBA supports your local gun rights organizations as a clearinghouse across the country. We've got their backs. You don't hear about us a lot, but that's what we do behind the scenes. I'm a longtime, very proud board member of this great organization. We'll be back right after the break at 6 minutes after, guys. See you on the flip side.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you are rejoining us, if you are just joining us, welcome in. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. What Super Bowl? We don't pay attention to that stuff. And I do want to mention a Facebook post that Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, put out a few moments ago that regarding the TPUSA versus the Super Bowl halftime report. And it was pretty interesting, so we'll go there in just a few minutes, just for fun. But you're in the CZ, you're in the Car Firearms Group studios with me. The CZ mic lit up for you, the on-air lights flashing out there like crazy. Patriot Mobile Command Center all fired up, and it's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas, welcome back, my brother. We are live on Facebook for you, facebook.com/armedamericanradio. Greg, I neglected the last time to tell people where else we were. I'll let you do your spiel, and then we'll go to our guest, Neil McCabe. We've got another solid hour for you guys. Greg.
Yeah, I was just thinking we did skip last hour.
We did. That's my fault. I'm the host. I should know better. I did.
That's fine. No big deal. We got into something else. It was worth it. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. If you're over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also join our live chat. Just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
And that'll do it, guys. If you're watching the show, please don't watch the show while we're driving. Let's go to our guest, the great Neil McCabe, Real America's Voice, redstate.com. You know, Neil has always been, he's been losing his Boston accent for years. We love him on the show. Neil, welcome in. It's great to have you here, brother.
Very, very good to be with you on a very special night. Really excited to have you to myself, Mark.
It's fun, isn't it? Wait till we do a podcast with you, Neil, and we get to go one-on-one with you without FCC control, and we can really dig deep into your life, because you've got such a story, man. The things you've done over the years. Do you remember the day we met at the NRA convention many, many moons ago? I would say decades ago, Neil. It's been a long time. Remember that? That was in Indianapolis, right? You know, I want to say I think so, but I've been to so many. But I remember being in the meeting room and meeting. SHOT Show, but we did have. I know in Indianapolis we had some adult beverages and enjoyed each other's company. That was great, and I'm really glad that. You've sort of rebuilt that relationship with the NRA as they've tried to basically find their way. And, obviously, I've been highly critical of the NRA. We all have. The way they were behaving under Chris Cox and Wayne LaPierre. And I saw it firsthand on Capitol Hill when I was a reporter on Capitol Hill and as the editor of the Guns and Patriots newsletter, where you contributed. And I got to Washington, D.C., and a buddy of mine I've known him since I was 17 years old. And he's in D.C., and I told him, he says, well, what do you want to do? And he says, well, I think maybe the first thing I'll do is check in with the NRA and see what they're up to. And he goes, why? He says, they're the most anti-gun organization in Washington, D.C. I said, that can't be right.
He said, of course it is. And when the mood in Congress was absolutist, the NRA would talk compromise. When the attitude in Congress was compromise, the NRA would be absolutist. And they would just go about blowing up, specifically national concealed carry reciprocity. And it looked like it was going to pass. Bipartisan coalition was coming together. And they got, I forget the guy's name, but they got a senator from Alaska to do a second bill. Not because it was a better bill, but to just sort of muddy the waters and confuse people and basically pull away. There were Democrats who were supporting the Republican bill, and the NRA sort of arranged it so that those Democrats could then support the Democratic bill, which meant no bill would pass. And they succeeded because if you actually got some of these gun rights bills passed, you wouldn't need the NRA, or at least that was their attitude. Now, we know that if you get these bills passed, you're always defending, you're always expanding, you're always trying to make improvements, but they didn't see it that way. And then, they went through a lot of tumult. Frankly, Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, she was suing the National Rifle Association. And that lawsuit was thrown out of court, but she was able to request all these documents in the meantime, and she really made them all public. And they basically, Letitia James, trying to destroy the NRA, exposed the cabal that was running the NRA and how they were spending their money and their priorities. And instead of destroying the NRA, Letitia James ended up saving it because conservatives weren't able to fix the NRA. People tried. We all know Oliver North, right? Remember Oliver North?
Oh, yeah.
How long was he the president of the NRA? A month? 2 weeks? Day and a half?
It wasn't that
right?
long. Yeah, it wasn't that long.
It's like Oliver North couldn't fix the NRA, but Letitia James was able to fix the NRA. It wasn't her plan, but I think that's what happened. The only reason we have an NRA right now is because Letitia James got rid of the rot and the corruption that was in that organization, that the organization was unable to fix itself. And what we have now is it's the same group. And I don't know why, I think they're still registered in New York State, which is completely boggles my mind, but their headquarters, they have a Taj Mahal headquarters in Fairfax. But anyway, I think it's great. I remember when I heard that you started doing the recruitment and the membership and talking about the NRA, and you've been more open about this on other shows, and so maybe I'm talking out of turn because this day. But I did want to share with you and the people listening, my perspective on the NRA and how optimistic I am about the NRA right now, sir.
Yeah, well, you have an entire new group of leadership in the National Rifle Association, and the Wayne LaPierre corruption that occurred over that multi-year period when it was exposed. It was good that it was exposed. It needed to be exposed. And now that it's gone, and you used the right word, that rot, now that rot is gone, the National Rifle Association is able to get lean and get back to what it should be doing. Remember that people forget this. The NRA is in a no-win situation sometimes. There are people out there, Neil, that think you and I are anti-gun on this program, okay? You can't please everybody, all right? You got somebody over here that thinks one way. There are people out there that don't like the NRA. There are people out there that think Alan Gottlieb is anti-gun. It's an absolute joke what goes on behind the scenes. And they're in a no-win situation. I'll never forget when the NRA was down here fighting their guns in the parking lot bill. Our local organization, which was georgiacarry.org, which is now ga2a.org, same group, but better positioned now than it was previously, we were looking for campus carry. Okay, and the NRA was pushing another bill, and they got a lot of money and a lot of lobbyists in the state doing that. There were people in the group that think, why are the NRA fighting us? They weren't fighting us. They were trying to do what they had already locked up, and that was their bill at their level, and we were arguing, hey, help us do this. Now, we eventually got the bills that we needed passed. But it's a no-win situation. Here's what I'll tell you about the NRA. I am so thankful that the NRA is back. Guys, let me explain. This organization, this is the largest and oldest civil rights organization in American history. Formed in the 1850s, Neil. You remember that. And that's why it's still New York, believe it or not. I'd love to see them get out of New York. But there's a lot of nuance there that we don't have time to discuss. Nonetheless, I think you're right in everything that you said. And now that the organization, sometimes you got to shed the fur to get the coat back right? Think of your wife. I got to go get my hair cut so I can grow it long. I never figured that one out. But it's kind of a simple but basic analogy. And that's where the NRA is right now, and they are moving in the right direction. And I am so proud to be working with them because I know this management staff. I know every single one of them. You mentioned Chris Cox. I've known Chris Cox a long time, and it wasn't Chris. It was all coming from LaPierre. No fan of his whatsoever. Gone, ladies and gentlemen. So if we could use your support at the National Rifle Association. By the way, at the upcoming meetings in April, and I'll have much more information as we get closer to April, which will be here just like that, by the way. I have a nice big booth. We're going to be doing Media Row there. So if you're going to be there, make sure to come by and say hello. I might even mic you up. That's my intention, is to mic up some folks out of the blue while we're live broadcasting the Daily Defense from the show. So
I'll just, and I
30.
obviously,
You got 30 seconds.
That's not the reason I called. I'll just say this, that during the Obamacare fight, the Obama White House neutralized different conservative voices in business groups. And the NRA cut a deal where they said nothing, Obama said nothing in this Obamacare would affect gun rights. And the NRA agreed to be neutral. And no one could understand why, because it didn't come out later. But all the other gun groups, every other conservative group is struggling to stop Obamacare. And NRA was on the sidelines because they cut a separate piece. That gone.
History, ladies and gentlemen. It's new management.
Funny.
Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues right after the break with Neil McCabe. We're going to go to the firearms industry and circle back to use Jen Pisacki's words to Virginia and why it's so important. We'll be right back. Don't go away. American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, guys, you just heard Neil and I in the previous segment talking about the National Rifle Association and the changes over there, and it's so positive and such a beautiful thing to see. It's so refreshing. And I want to point out to you also, a lot of people ask me all the time, because I'm on the board of directors of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms for well over a decade. Now one of the veteran longstanding members of the board of directors there over time. And the CCR-KBA works with a lot of states' rights organizations across the country, sister organization to the Second Amendment Foundation, but separate. The CCR-KBA, just before the show went live in hour one, we have put together for you a Ruger Precision Rifle giveaway. We will be announcing, I say we because I'm a member of the board, but the winner will be announced out of Bellevue, Washington, coming up in April. And it's real simple. We need your help, like everybody else out there, okay? We're not asking for a lot. You do not have to donate if you don't want to. You can still get your name in. We will do that for you. That's by law. We have no problem with that. But we're asking you, if you can, to donate, and I love this first box, $17.76, right, to play on the 1776. It's our 250th anniversary. That's a beautiful thing. If you can make it a recurring donation, there's a box for you to do that. As I said, you can donate 20, 50, 100, or anything else. Just hit other and name your poison. Doesn't matter to me. Just help us, okay? And if you can't, I get it, then don't. But still enter to win. And you can do it by visiting ccrkba.org/AAR to enter to win. And if you're watching on your screens, I have it up there. It's a 6.5 Creedmoor Ruger Precision Rifle. Bolt action, beautiful. The total package is about $2,200 to $2,500. I'll have more information for you tomorrow. This just broke, and the site went live about an hour before the show began airing 1 hour ago, Eastern Time at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. So get in there, man. One of you's going to win it. It might as well be you. So give it a shot and help us out in the meantime. And you can find the CCR-KBA. They're listed on the website. All of our great partners, including the NRA, Bud's Gun Shop, Patriot Mobile, Crossbreed Holsters, they're all there for you, including blackoutcoffee.com/AAR, attorneys on retainer at armedamericanradio.com. Neil McCabe, welcome back in with me, brother. So let's go to the firearms industry. I think is a good place to start because it's down, Neil. And I failed to send you these numbers, but I'll read them to you. We'll get your spontaneous reaction to this. But it was interesting because Ryan Petty sent me this piece from the street. At the exact same time I was getting ready to send it to Alan, he sent me the exact same piece from, I guess it was a Bing search or a Microsoft News deal. And here's the headline. Troubled gunmaker files Chapter 11 bankruptcy after ATF dispute. Now, this is on the heels, ladies and gentlemen, of a huge dealer out of North Carolina that just filed bankruptcy as well. Firearms manufacturers and dealers faced a slowdown in sales in 2025 that contributed to economic issues for gun companies that closed businesses or filed for bankruptcy protection. Gun enthusiasts have pulled back on buying firearms in 2025 as their favorite dealers shut their doors. That's a little misleading. We'll get into that in a minute. Sales of firearms declined 4.1%, Neil, to about 14.6 million in 2025 compared to over 15.2 million in 2024, according to the NSSF. And the NSSF, ladies and gentlemen, the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the National Rifle Association's American Riflemen have reported the same thing from NSSF. They know what they're talking about as the trade group for the industry. The slowdown in the third quarter of 2025 was a wake-up call, but it continued. Slow demand was expected, but slow reaction is not. Caleb Seymour, VP of Data and Analytics at Gearfire, said the third quarter was a wake-up call. The question now is, who will adjust before year-end and who will get caught waiting? Ooh. Now, Neil, there's been a number of companies. One of the big ones in 2025 to file bankruptcy was Sky Industries, whose assets were seized by the Volusia County Tax Office of Florida at its Daytona factory in March of last year for non-payment of tax debts of about $250,000. They filed a petition for bankruptcy court in the Middle District of Florida on August 1st, 2025. You have custom-built firearms filing for bankruptcy. You just have a dealer in North Carolina. Gun sales are down right now, Neil. And what is this? Is this what we refer to as the Trump slump, or is there more to it heading into 2026?
Yeah, I think that it's not exactly applicable. But the sort of the saying on Wall Street is that a rally climbs a wall of worry, and this is the opposite of what's happening, or rather, it's exactly what's happening. There is no worry about guns, and so because there's no worry about guns, there's nobody's there's no impetus. Like people who bought Smith and Wesson when Barack Obama was elected probably tripled their money. I'm not looking it up, but it's like everyone. There are people who thought guns would be outlawed. Like when somebody suggested to me, I didn't do it, but somebody suggested they were going to invest in Smith and Wesson. I was like, "Are you crazy?" Because Barack Obama hates guns and everything else, but it turns out to be the huge play. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate because after 4 years of Biden with zero tolerance, basically waging war on gun shops, I think that he pulled federal firearms licenses from maybe 600 shops
up
in his
over
4 years.
600%, and it was close to 700. You're correct. We reported on them throughout the course of the 4 years.
And the thing is, when I say zero tolerance, I talked to a guy down in Florida. This girl was filling out the form, and on the form it said county. She thought it read country, mm-hmm. so she put USA. He lost his FFL after 30 mm-hmm. years. That's when they said zero. They said, should there be zero tolerance on enforcement of gun laws? Oh yeah, 1,000%. Everybody's like, yeah, that makes complete sense. But I mean, basically spelling errors. I don't know if that's true, right? And so it's rough, and it's I guess you'd say it's ironic, right? That you have the most pro-gun president ever. And I say that not, I don't want to compare him with other presidents exactly, but no other president has had the opposition to gun rights. So, I'm sure like Franklin, Teddy Roosevelt rather was extremely pro-gun, mm-hmm. one of the founders of the NRA or one of the early supporters of the NRA. Like he was pro-gun, but he never dealt with the opposition that Trump is dealing with George H.W. Bush, and Ronald Reagan, and George W. Bush. They basically were seeking separate peace. They were seeking compromise. They're like, how do we? The phrase in Washington with Republicans is, how do we get this issue off the table, right? So you basically give the Democrats what they want so you can talk about something else. Like that's how little they care about the actual issues at stake. For them, they just don't want to talk about it anymore. They want to talk about something else. So we'll say, okay, we'll just give it to you. And that's like, and you're in meetings hearing people say this, and it's bonkers, and it's disconnected from the Americans who sent people to Washington to protect their gun rights. But this is where we're at.
Yeah, and this ties in, and we're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, I want to go back to that statement. Gun enthusiasts have pulled back on buying firearms in 2025 as their favorite dealers shut their doors. That's a misleading statement, and I'll explain when we come back why I believe that's a misleading statement. It's almost as if they're making it to be the correlation, and there may be some correlation. We'll go into a little bit more detail about that when we come back, and continue to pick up where Neil left off, because it is all tied together here, and it is kind of ironic. Now, guys, if you are in the firearms industry and you're feeling that pinch, and a lot of you are, I have room for you on this show to get your name out there, and now's when you ought to be hammering hard. If you're smart, a lot of them aren't. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away.
course.
This segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by Blackout Coffee. Visit them at blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. Grab that discount and free shipping. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day on hundreds of radio stations here in the Car Firearms Group studios on this monster cast here in front of this powerful CZ microphone here at Patriot Mobile Ranch. And we welcome you in here. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Blackout Coffee, you just heard the rejoin. Had a pot of that stuff this morning. Not kidding. We actually made 2 pots. My wife and kids took 1 pot, took to church with them, and made me another pot, and I killed the thing. blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. I will be with Jared Yanis from Blackout Coffee, and you know him from Guns and Gadgets, at the Attorneys on Retainer Convention the weekend of the 20th and 21st. You can come out there. I'll be out there the 18th to the 23rd, broadcasting 1, 2, 3 days of Armed American Radio, 2 Daily Defense, and the Sunday Monster Cast from beautiful Phoenix. If you're watching, you can see the QR code up there. Go ahead and hit it. Pick up some coffee like I did. I just ordered 2 more bags and cut it from 6 weeks back down to a month. It's that good. blackoutcoffee.com. And if you're watching on your screens, you can see the AAR Ruger Precision Rifle giveaway. Enter now, ladies and gentlemen. It's easy to do. We are giving away at the committee, the CCR KBA, in April, a 6.5 Creedmoor Ruger Precision Rifle. All you have to do is visit ccrkba.org. One of you is going to win this thing. I want it to be you. That would be huge. What would be huger, because we make up our own words here on the show because we can, because it's our show, is to bring you on the show if you win it. How cool would that be, right? Would love to do that. And we're going to do these throughout the year. ccrkba.org, that Ruger Precision, valued at about $2,200, maybe $2,500, in that range. I'll have more information tomorrow. But this just went live moments ago before we started the first hour of the program. ccrkba.org/AAR, and it's cool. You can donate $17.76, right? We're in our 250th year. 20, 50, 100, pick your poison, whatever you want to do, and you do not have to donate, but we would hope that you would support us at the Citizens Committee. We help with the states' organizations around the country. We're kind of behind the scenes. A lot of you might not know that, but that's what we do. So if you're a member of a states' rights organization, the CCR KBA is a powerhouse behind you, all right? We're there to help you. Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, ccrkba.org/AAR, and win this rifle. We would love to announce your name on Armed American Radio coming up in April. Neil McCabe, welcome back to the program, brother. Always a pleasure to have you here, my friend.
Very good to be with you, sir.
All right, so now we talked a little bit about the industry. I want to mention that first sentence. I think this is important. Gun enthusiasts have pulled back on buying firearms in 2025 as their favorite dealers shut their doors. That seems to imply with the word as. I guess it depends on what as, right? As their favorite dealers shut their doors. I don't, there's probably a small correlation there, Neil, but I don't think that's the reason why. I think it might be part of the reason. I mean, if your dealer around you, are you going to pull back? You're just going to find another dealer, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to buy a gun. It's deeper than that. It's that Trump slump that you gave us that eloquent response on in the previous segment as to why a lot of this is happening right now, but it looks like it's going to continue through 2026. So let me throw something at you. Does what's happening in Minneapolis help increase sales? You got a lot of lefties out there buying guns right now, and they have every right to buy guns, period. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what demographic you are. I don't care what your political leanings are. You have a right to own and carry a firearm in this country, Neil. And a lot of them believe they're living under a tyrannical government, and a lot of them are buying guns. I have no problem with that whatsoever. As old Bill O'Reilly used to say, what say you?
Well, first of all, let's just make a quick point about just those gun stores. It's also, these gun stores, they may be selling guns, but they're also small family-owned businesses, and it's very difficult to run a small family-owned business in the United States today. And that's why you're seeing chains and you're seeing franchises, because of the tax and regulatory and all this kind of environment. You just can't make it as a regular mom and pop anymore. You need to be part of a larger organization, and that's why you're seeing this sort of consolidation. And frankly, you're seeing gun store chains, right? That's not individual stores anymore. But I will say this about just sort of what's happening in Minnesota is that the gun laws on the books in California, a lot of them, California used to be a free state. California used to be a free state. California used to be like paradise. And Governor Ronald Reagan passed laws to restrict gun rights in California because the Black Panthers were arming up, and because the Weather Underground was arming up, and the student protests were arming up, and they basically said, "Well, hold on, we can't have this." And so, it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So, do the leftists have a right to arm up and run in heavy? Yeah, sure. You can't. And so, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have Minnesota, but you're going to have like a George Floyd event. The summer of George Floyd was great for gun companies. Now, I don't want to wish that, or it's like, the riots in Ferguson were great for the gun companies, and that's the problem that you have, where it's like you're just rooting for bad news. It's like, you're in a roofing company in Florida. You hate to pray for a hurricane, but golly, hurricane's a great way to make a lot of money if you fix roofs in Florida.
Yeah, well, if you make generators, it's great for business, okay? Hey, guys, you got a winter storm coming, generators are all over the place. Look, it's just part of the economics of what happens. It's part of the business. So I'm going to flip this here. Again, very, very important. A lot of people don't think in these terms. The anti-gunners think long-term. And guys, when we just went through these numbers, let me read you just another subhead here. Gun sales declined another 3.4% in December. That was 2 months ago, ladies and gentlemen, to 1.58 million compared to about 1.64 million in December. Now, how do we know these numbers? The best we've got is the 4473 NICS checks, okay? And a lot of companies will report some of their sales, et cetera. But that's the best we've got. Some of the decline in sales might have resulted from buyers delaying purchases to take advantage of the reduction in the NFA Act tax, Neil, which was $200. And I can tell you firsthand, not only talking to manufacturers, specifically a couple CEOs of those manufacturers, two of the biggest, in fact, but also talking to local dealers, their sales are through the roof on suppressors right now. That is going to boom. I think Glock made a strategic decision, business decision, that was not based on California's Glock switches, et cetera. When they change their models, which they do from time to time, Gen 4 to Gen 5, Gen 5 now to Gen 6. Now they've got the others, the V model, et cetera. I think that's going to be a boon to Glock. They're going to sell a lot of guns. So not everybody, I don't think, is going to be impacted on this, okay? However, you now have, as I said, firearms manufacturers closing their deals. And here's the thing, and I don't think you were part of the show when we talked about it with Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms here in the Car Firearms Group studios. He said a lot of these companies, if they're not well diversified, will not survive. And then you take that and juxtapose that, Neil, with what, from everything I've heard from SHOT, this is the first year I wasn't there in 26 years. For personal reasons, I couldn't go. Dad and family come first. But it seemed to be, from everyone I spoke to, a huge show, very reminiscent of previous years. So there's a little bit of disconnect here, but I do believe 2026 is going to play out like 2025 did. I think we're going to see some more declines in sales, but the long term is what matters, guys. Here's where we tie this in. The other side is playing the long game. They want these businesses to go out of business, which is why they put these laws in place, like Virginia, where we're going to go in the next segment with Neil, and California. Just when you think they can't get lower, they keep going lower. Why? Because their end game are the numbers that we're talking about right here. Their ultimate goal, Neil, and you alluded to it in the first hour, was to rid the nation of these companies. That's what they're trying to do. I'll let you take us to the break.
30.
Well, I think
30 seconds, just so you know.
That's all I need.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's fine. I think that, there was a lot of fast money moving into guns. There were a lot of companies that were basically jumping into the market, and maybe because ARs were so popular and the 1911s were so popular, and everybody's coming up with their own version of an AR-15 or their own version of a 1911, and it just sort of, frankly, you go to a gun store, a gun show, and it's like you sort of flooded the market. You needed innovation, you needed products, just like every industry. Somebody comes out with a new gun, and all of a sudden the industry takes over again.
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got one more segment. Then we're going to run an encore in the third hour for you because everybody's watching the Super Bowl except us here. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Welcome back indeed, guys. Do you know what to do if you're involved in a self-defense shooting? You call 911? Yeah. Do you know what to do as soon as you call 911? Probably not. Many of you don't know or don't think about the fact that 911 call is recorded. And if it's a shooting, guess what? It's going to be used against you. There's a way to handle that call and a way not to handle that call. If you have attorneysonretainer.us, the backside of this card that I'm holding up explains it all to you. $37 a month, biggest no-brainer we've ever offered on this show. Next to your opportunity to win the Ruger Precision, I'll tell you that right now. But attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. $37 a month. Use that promo code there at the site. You're going to get $25 off your sign-up fee. All of my family, all 4 family members, my wife, my daughter, my son, and myself, have these cards because we all carry a firearm. So you know something bad can happen. When something bad happens, that can be just the beginning for you. It doesn't have to be. This is one of those things that you just have to do, okay? Now, I will be in Phoenix, Arizona, the 18th through the 23rd, broadcasting this show on Sunday and Thursdays and Fridays Daily Defense Show for the annual convention at the Mesa Convention Center. You can visit attorneysonretainer.us for all of that information. I hope you participate. Come out and see us. I'll be moderating 2 panels. It's going to be an awful lot of fun. You're going to meet a lot of people. Jared Yanis, Heavy Duty Country, Ryan Petty, myself, AAR Hawkins, Alan Gottlieb will all be there, and many, many others. So make sure to be there. There's also going to be some crime victims there that had to use this that you're going to want to hear from. The real deal. attorneysonretainer.us. Also, if you're watching on your screens, you see that Ruger Precision Rifle, ccrkba.org/AAR. Donate $17.76. Won't you please help us out over there? And I might be announcing your name as the winner of that $2,200 to $2,500 package of that 6.5 Creedmoor bolt action Ruger Precision. Great opportunity for you because one of you is going to win it. It could very well be you. ccrkba.org/AAR to enter and win. Yeah, that would be cool. I wish I could, but I can't because I'm on the board, but I would love to. If I were you, I would be doing that. You do not have to donate. You can scroll down and see where to donate and where not to if you don't want to, but you can still enter. We would hope that you would donate $17.76. Pretty small price to pay to win that $2,000, $2,200, $2,500 package there from CCRKBA. All right, guys, all of our partners can be found at armedamericanradio.com, including budsgunshop.com, Bud's Gun Shop, Barrel Buddy, Crossbreed Holsters, Blackout Coffee. The QR code's up there for you. Support our partners, guys. It's what keeps us on the airwaves all of these 17 years and hopefully another 17 years, but we need your help to do it. Neil McCabe, welcome back in, my brother. We're going to close out the show. Can you believe it,
Very
Neil?
good to be with you, Mark.
We're already coming to an end. I just asked Greg if we want to do another live hour, but we've already got the encore put in, so I could have easily done another hour with you. So thanks for sticking with me. I do appreciate it very much.
No, it's I just need some room to talk, and somehow I come up with things to say. So
well, the mic is now yours. Go ahead. We were talking about the firearms industry being down, some of what's happening there. It's an interesting conversation, but I do want to get your thoughts on the long game that we were talking about because that is so true. They are trying to put the industry out of business. That's why Connecticut, California, laws, Virginia, let's circle back to Virginia, now making it easier for everybody to sue manufacturers in a slap in the face to the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. They don't care about court costs. They don't care about dollars. They don't care about taxpayer dollars, Neil. But that's the long game, isn't it?
Right, and it has nothing to do with public safety. It has nothing to do with, like, we look at problems. I know I'm just like a broken record, but it's like we look at economic problems, public safety problems. We look at cultural problems. Like we're trying to figure out, well, how do we solve these problems? And like the left comes to us with their concerns, and we say, oh, this is what you're worried about. Okay, we'll do this, this, and this to fix it. They don't care. Right. It's like they're not telling the truth. Everything for them is a political problem. How can I exploit this for political power, political advantage? This is a crew, like going back to with President Donald J. Trump. The search warrant for Mar-a-Lago was for sensitive military national security documents, okay? Sensitive, not classified, sensitive. Well, the phone book at Elgin Air Force Base is a sensitive military document. And there's a rule in the Justice Manual. The Department of Justice has the book of running things. It's called the Justice Manual. It says you're not allowed to do anything political, like announce an indictment or arrest a congressman. You're not supposed to do anything political 60 days before an election. So that's basically October and September. So that's why everything happens in August. That's why people are arrested in August. That's why they opened up the investigation into Mike Flynn in August. That's why in 2016 they dumped that fake black ledger on Paul Manafort in August. That's why they announced that's why they arrested Steve Bannon in August of 2020. That's why they raided Mar-a-Lago in August of 22. Right.
There's always a plan, isn't there, Neil?
And it's like, and they're just going to do it. And it's like we're so silly because we think they care and they don't. Because in a relationship, when your partner tells you, I'm leaving you, they've been working on leaving you for months, and they've already made the emotional adjustment. And so when you're talking to them, they're like, they don't even care what you have to say.
Yeah.
And the left has dumped us. The founding consensus is over. The things we all agreed to, the process, the values, the culture, right? The things, the priorities, everything that was agreed to from the founding of this country all the way to 20, 30 years ago has been thrown out the window because they don't care. And we don't realize. See, this is the fool. They were such fools.
You're so right. We
don't realize they left us. They're already out the door. And when we're talking to them, we're saying, please come back. And we're saying, please understand. And they're laughing at us because they're already out the door.
Are you telling me their bags are already packed, Neil?
Yeah. And it's like they don't care. And so we're still stuck, and we still think we can convince them. And we come up with these arguments, and we make all this research. And it used to be that they wanted to get us fired.
Yeah,
then they wanted to throw us in jail, and now they want us dead.
Here's the deal.
That's just the way it is.
I'm not asking them for anything. I want them all gone. Our job here is to bury those groups and put them to bed and end it. Neil, I'm going to let you have the final word by asking you one question, and what'll be a great way to close out the program based on your previous comments. If you can't even have dinner with them,
right? How are you supposed to run a country with them? It's absurd. I do want to remind everyone you can find me on all the socials at Reporter McCabe, Real America's Voice, and of course at redstate.com.
redstate.com. Neil, in case nobody's told you this today, I love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Thank you, brother, for being here. I do appreciate it. I guess I say I'll let you get back to the game, but I don't think you were ever at the game. I don't have a score for you, ladies and gentlemen, because I really don't care. I guess there was a mean rabbit or something in the halftime show. Boy, I didn't even get to Andy Hoosier's comments. We'll talk with Andy Hoosier about that tomorrow. Wait till you hear his Facebook post. It was rather interesting regarding the halftime show. Neil McCabe, redstate.com, and Real America's Voice. Watch him on your television sets. Coming up, in Encore, you're going to hear Dave Workman from my Thursday Daily Defense. It was a great hour with Dave. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the hour. Stay safe, guys. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
Okay, guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for tuning in today. For those of you that did, we appreciate it. And we're on hundreds of radio stations and a lot of listeners. But those of you that were viewing the show, we appreciate that so much. Guys, win that rifle. Give it a shot, okay? $17.76 get you in. And I want to name your name on the show coming up in April. That's going to be an awful lot of fun. And I want to thank Neil McCabe for being here as well. Neil went out of his way today, and I appreciate it so much. And I appreciate you for being here very much. So enjoy your day, guys. Stay safe. We'll see each and every one of you on the radio tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. You can do the math on both coasts. You know where you're at. Until then, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, guys. See you on the radio tomorrow.